Skateboarding reveals your character. I mean, you go out, you can't like make up style. Your style comes out when you do it. And I think that those types of people just naturally kind of gravitate towards each other. And that's exactly what happened in this situation.
What's going on here today?
I don't know. Z-Flex reunion.
Where does the name Z-Flex come from?
It came off of Zephyr.
Z-Flex started after we broke off.
Z-Flex started with Jay's dad, Kent. You know,
Right.
He was making the boards. That was it. It all started from Jay and Kent. And everybody else that was like part of that whole scene rode those boards because those were the boards.
Kent was like, I'm calling it Z whatever because it was kind of his baby.
Well, it was an extension of like where the whole Zephyr thing came from, and I think that it was cool that, you know, Kent was like still manufacturing the boards.
I guess we first made that Zephyr board, and then the second board we made was an Easy Rider. So these were the first ones. First little Zephyrs.
Right.
Then we came out with the Z-Flex. We just
This one's
shortened it to Z-Flex. And this was a big board for the time.
It was like being on a second generation Zephyr team. Like same energy. Me, Tony, Jay, Shogo. We were all still riding together.
We're still alive.
These are original.
Yeah, that's original, dude.
That's so killer. How cool is that one? Sign this one for me. That one's going on my wall.
Here, look at the waves. Here's the waves this morning.
What, Tuscany?
Yeah.
When we were kids, we used to go to the Santa Monica Civic and see the surf films because skating was all about surfing for us back in the time.
Back then, we always wanted to simulate like we were surfing, you know.
Right.
That was the whole thing. You didn't want to kook out. You always wanted to carve. You wanted to be fluid. You didn't want to have that kinky style that still a lot of skaters have.
The Z-Boys Generation 1 and 2 show us the way and show us, you know, where it came from, where the roots were. And a lot of the roots were from like surfing, mixing it with skating, throwing in style. You know, not just doing a trick for trick's sake, but doing it just for the style's sake, you know, for the feeling of it.
Because the surfers that we looked up to were guys that were from Venice and Santa Monica, that like when they went to a place like Malibu to surf, where it was all mellow, everything was supposed to be all groovy and stuff, it wasn't like that. They were aggressive, and we took that attitude right from the water to the streets.
Z-Flex was one of the only teams at the time that dealt with people like us.
It's hard to say. We were like the full, you know, terrorist outlaws. But to us, we were just hardcore skaters.
We were into the big, like, all going as a gang kind of posse going in and invading like different skate parks and stuff like that.
We were a little more rough and tough. Yeah, a little rowdier. And kind of like the movie Got It Right. It's like a hockey team.
Going to a figure skating competition. Perfect metaphor for like what happened, you know, when we showed up.
You know, I think the soul behind the team was that who we were as people. It just was a radical time. It was kind of a groundbreaking time in skateboarding.
Plumer was really, really good. He was gnarly. He used to go really fast and do the gnarliest carve grinds.
This is where I learned how to do the front side and back side air. It was right here in this bowl. And Sparky Gator carbs.
What is a Sparky Gator carb?
That would grind the coping so hard sparks would come off my trucks. The edger that was my little masterpiece. Roll over the coping and then come back in. Like you said, you'd hang up a lot. But when you pulled them off, they were kind of sick, man. Back then, that was it. We were trying to do edgers or snappers, full bursts, extended bursts like that.
The day we graduated high school, the Kona Skate Park opened, and we all worked there.
We were like the park pros there, basically.
Yeah. Me and George and Plumer won a bunch of money, and we joined Plumer to make sure all his stories were true, because he'd been telling us these stories about Jay and Tony that just sounded too unbelievable to be true. So we all came out to California that summer. Here's a bunch of Floridian surfers. The fact that we were surfers kind of got us in there. We got to skate the dog bowl with all the boys.
The dog bowl, I remember Tony took me there. And then it was just the Z-boys. Just the elite got to skate that place.
So we basically rode it the last day it was ready. Dino's mom came out, like we were skating, and of course Tony was doing his bullshit. Come back the next day and it's got 3 feet of water and it's being filled up.
Are you the culprit? Yeah. Now let's cross out my name and put his model in there. That's a J maneuver. It's a J Adams / Plumer model.
Think we'd be here doing this 30 damn years later? My earliest memories of Z-Flex is Skateboarder Magazine, and it's J Adams, Z-Flex.
Jay is the iconic skateboarder, you know, of that whole company and everything that it represents.
Jay was one of the top dogs for sure, if not the top dog.
Classic photo of Jay, obviously. Right. I mean, the golden child, the crown prince, you know. What can you say about that?
I like this one at the little Montebello Park. See, because you can see Jay's surf style there, you know. Everything he did was just sidewalk surfing.
I mean, he's my favorite skater of all time just because he skated like he surfed. He was lower than anyone. Like, say guys would start doing routines. And I mean, Jay, everything he did was like that, always.
He just didn't want to hear anything. He would just like do things because he felt it, you know. And I think that's why he took that Z-Flex and did things with it that nobody even thought about doing.
There was a lot of progression going on, I think, especially in the Fruit Bowl back then.
Some of my early memories were Fruit Bowl too, because I rode Fruit Bowl with Tony and Jay, and I remember the shit Jay was doing was just unbelievable.
I like really the shots like this, like the ones of Jay going for inverts and stuff. Let's just put it this way, he wasn't making every one of them, but that was kind of like where Jay was starting to really push it into the future.
Well, those were the first ones really attempting. Yeah, and I just did those because I was flying out and just putting my hand down on their thing. Nobody really grabbed the board.
And when he did the first like front side, laid back hand plants, right? That poster?
The one we just saw.
The one that we were just looking at. That, I was there that day and watched that shot being taken.
Just trying different stuff. Not making everything, but attempting it. You know? Nobody else was trying it.
When you think of Z-Flex, you think of Jay. I do. I think of Jay Adams. Cool thing is we have Jay still here, you know? Thank God.
What? Full Knievel. Boom. Oh my! What? Fold. You can put that on one of those. No pads. Still going.
Love at first sight, but you didn't realize. Now I
brings back such cool memories. And still to this day, this was the funnest time of my life back then, man.
Yeah, I was making like $3 to $4 grand a month, touring with no expenses and a daily per diem, and just, yeah, living the dream, you know, for like, and then it got ugly.
You can see in this shot where Jay's like got his hand down on the hip and he's just doing like a hand plant. I mean, there wasn't anybody doing that stuff back then.
You know, Jay was just always on. I remember one time we were in Santa Monica and he goes, "Hey, Hackett, check this out, man." Picked up this half a brick and he goes, "See that camper shell down there?" And just goes, boom, throws this brick. The thing just goes, wham! This dude comes out of the thing, just nuts, and starts chasing us down this alley. It was like every time I hung out with Jay, we were running.
It was another day in the life of growing up in LA, you know what I mean? So fortunate to have made that curve.
We're always the raddest, we're always the fastest, we're always the baddest. That's why Z still rules to this day.
When there's a lot of talented guys on one team, they're always going to be pushing each other really hard to take it to the next level. And I think the boards were part of that, though. The boards were progressive.
In the box. That's so dope.
Z-Flex has always been an innovative, creative company that no one ever could copy or emulate. You know, the original owners that ran it for 30 years, they surf, they skate, you know, and this came from like surfing and skating mixed together. They tried to figure out a way to come out with a board that would last longer. They had the balsa wood and the thing would fall apart. Jay Adams would ride it and the thing would crumble to pieces.
I'd make a skateboard every other day, take it to Revere, or Paul Revere, and like destroy it in one day. We'd get a piece of oak and we'd cut it out, and you know, you'd have to drill the holes correctly. You'd cut them off, the thing would turn right. It was a big ordeal, but we'd make our own boards all the time. And
Like
Kent being a fiberglass guy, a mold builder, figured he could make one that was tougher and more durable and would last longer.
But why fiberglass? We used to like these boards because they would still spring. You could flex on your turns and stuff, and they were basically indestructible, man. You could ride one of these boards for a year.
It was a great board. You could get really low into your turns, and you know, I dug it. I mean, I rode pools on it, you know, when the Oxnard came out, the first like real vert park, you know. That was my weapon of choice at the time. Pound for pound, it was just a really killer board, you know, and I think that Jay's dad went a long way in designing it.
Jay's stepdad was like the man.
He was the master back then.
Kent was the one behind the whole deal, really. The Zephyr boards wouldn't have happened without Kent because he was making fiberglass trimarans in Venice.
With, you know, Kent's background in fiberglass, they were hoping this would actually last, you know, Jay Adams skating.
He would make up different batches, you know, different formulas of fiberglass and resin, and some would have like too much flex, so we'd be riding and they'd bottom out, you know, in the middle. And we'd be like, no good. And 3 days later, Kent would come with another batch. And then he came up with a mix that ended up being Z-Flex.
Zephyr, Easy Rider, all of it Z-Flex, because it all came to a head to be Z-Flex. So all the roots of that is embedded in that board.
The Z-Flex board, to me, the dream board for me.
I rode the Z-Flex boards, and there was nothing really that worked like that, because what those boards were was that they were our version of the boards, kind of the Highline boards that we couldn't afford when we were kids. The boards were expensive, you know, for back then. So when Kent started making the Z boards, we were stoked because we had our own version.
The reissue here, gentlemen. Just like to introduce you to the new Blue Z Reflex.
Yeah, it's an
God, that is so f***ing insane. That's what I would say. It's solid as a rock.
The cool thing about this board, it's got the built-in riser. It's got the built-in rail grab.
Because if you see Jay like in the fruit ball and doing all those upside down airs, and I mean, he was so far ahead of anyone at that time.
Watching Jay hit the coping, get upside down, it was stuff that would have been considered impossible.
I think it was probably one of the first really kind of kicktail, because when we were skating in '75, everything was flat.
If you look at everything that Jay and even Tony and all the rest of the guys were doing on those boards, it was really incredible. Back then, it was a high performance board. It was one of the most high performance boards you could get.
I mean, this thing was so far ahead of its time.
It was
when
pretty
came out,
revolutionary.
you know what I mean?
It was an advanced board for its time, and if you had one of those, then you were ahead of the game.
Best thing about the boards I liked was the rocker in them. As you can see, the rocker's really nice. Has like a really nice surfboard rocker to it. The main thing was they were kind of emulating what we were used to as surf skaters, is like a little surfboard, you know?
One of our first ads, Tony Alva, was in our ad with this board, and he's like, "Oh, this is the best mono ever. Wish it was mine." I was like,
They were good for carving, and last but not least, they lasted a long time. Yeah, they're pretty durable, and they were just fun, you know?
This is the deal. It's a surf skateboard, you know? It's meant for cruising and have a good time, and when you look at it, it brings back the nostalgia. Because when you're younger, growing up skateboarding, those are the best times of your life. Man, when you get a second, bro, I need you to sign that. I think Dave won the award today for most runs.
No way.
I think so, brother.
People think that we're just vert skaters and stuff, where they're so wrong about that, because basically we were the first street skaters, because we were the kids to really come from the streets.
The whole city was like a skate park in a sense, you know? I mean, we just like cruised everything, found little nooks and crannies, and just raged everywhere on skateboards.
Just that feeling of the wind going through your hair and just carving down the street, you know, getting away from everything.